Good evening. This is the Vsb TV 11 News for Thursday, July 24th. I'm Peter Cattell. Our top story: Bermuda's 18 entrants in the 2014 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow marched into the arena last night to a tumultuous welcome from the 40,000 spectators, with their traditional gear of Bermuda shorts and blazers earning praise from the announcers, who were describing the scene for 1 billion viewers around the world. Here is how the BBC presented Bermuda's moment in the spotlight.
Representing the 70,000 people of Bermuda. And talking about referendums earlier, well, there was a referendum on independence. Bermuda back in 1995, that was defeated, so it remains a territory of the UK. Another very prosperous place, of course, finance industry to the fore.
And winter or summer, rain or shine, they always march in the Bermuda shorts. We've come to expect it. Capital Hamilton, which is also the town of the same name, 10 miles southeast of Glasgow, and it's just opposite Strathclyde Park, where the triathlon, I mentioned that, is going to be taking place tomorrow.
The supporters of the People's Campaign and the Trade Union Congress have been asked to march from Victoria Park to the Cabinet Building tomorrow at noon to protest government's decision to uphold the awarding of status to PRC holders. Earlier today, the officials of the TUC and the People's Campaign issued a joint statement calling on government to produce a revised policy that would provide a reasonable and fair path to status for PRC holders, while rejecting in the strongest terms the hysteria being generated against them by some people. Vsb News' Brian Darby provides an excerpt from the group's statement.
Let us begin by removing all of the erroneous and distracting charges coming from some quarters regarding xenophobia. It is our position that PRC holders who have and continue to contribute to Bermuda should be provided with a fair and reasonable opportunity to pursue status if they so desire. The fear and scaremongering of some people who have attempted to generate hysteria around PRC holders stealing jobs and opportunities from Bermudians, we likewise reject in the strongest terms. What we find to be equally disingenuous at the best and blatantly dishonest on the part of the government at the worst is the fact that it seems that the government not only acknowledges but agrees the loophole provides a backdoor that violates the intent of the legislation, which was never intended to provide a path to status. The honourable thing to do, instead of engaging in the politics of avoidance or the politics of blame, the PLP did so why should we change it, would have been to close the loophole legislatively and then engage in a more reasoned and well thought out policy that would provide PRC holders who seek status with a path and an opportunity to attain it. When any government concedes that there is a flaw in policy but chooses instead of correcting it to appear to use it as a political device, it destroys and erodes public confidence in the honesty and integrity of the government. Brian Darby reporting for Vsb News.
In direct contravention of an agreement reached with residents of Ewing Street, the Corporation of Hamilton have taken the chainsaws to the only remaining avenue of trees in the city as part of a road widening scheme, now laying the area open to heavy traffic and flooding. The action brought residents and conservationists out in protest, and Vsb News' Brian Darby was able to speak to Stuart Hayward of Best, Anne Hyde of the KBB, resident Sherma Simmons, and architect Henry Ming.
It's really distressing. You know, there aren't very many tree-lined streets in Bermuda, and here's one where the trees have gotten mature, and despite the concerns of the neighbors, residents, and the environmental community, these trees are being, as you can see, the tops have been taken out of them. There's talk of transplanting them, but why transplant mature trees if the plan is to bring them back here? So there just doesn't seem to be a concern here for the neighborhood, for the history of the area, and we're hoping that the corporation will come to its senses and cease this.
Have you had a chance to talk to anyone?
Well, I've talked to one corporation person who said that he's not authorized to talk to the media, he's not authorized to make any decisions. He says we have to go to the mayor. I haven't been able to reach the mayor so far. But it's not that he's ignorant of this. He knows that there's concerns about it, and he should cease this kind of activity.
We were alerted to this. We knew that they had already started cutting the trees a couple of weeks ago, and the last few trees were remaining untouched because it was still being negotiated. Now, Keep Bermuda Beautiful's office is just around the corner on Princess Street, so we know this neighborhood. We know these are my friends, and I'm very concerned about the fact that it's still in negotiation. So we shouldn't see any action with chainsaws until everyone's happy and settled and agreed upon what the best course of action is for this street. This is the last avenue of trees in Bermuda.
I live down here, and I've been fighting for these trees from the first I ever heard that they were going to make the changes that they were going to make. And I went and did a little synopsis on how the trees were going to help, and how we have owls that are living in the trees, and how the trees are stopping the water from running off the hill. And I gave them all the scenarios that would help to save the tree. I did my homework. And at the time, the corporation agreed, and everybody was on board, and they said, okay, we will save the trees. So they had a couple of meetings, and everybody agreed, the neighborhood agreed, everybody thought we had got what we wanted, and we was all happy about it.
You woke up?
So unbeknown to me, I go up KBB one day, and they tell me that, oh, it's a meeting, how you going? Nobody told me about the meeting. And I called a few people in corporation, and they said, oh, it has nothing to do with the trees, but it did have something to do with the trees. And apparently, when I looked up, they had decided that the trees must go.
Without telling you.
So I went to a couple of the neighbors and said, I'm disappointed. I thought we agreed that the trees were going to stay. And they said, we didn't know the trees were going. So half the neighborhood don't know nothing about what this decision is all about.
The solutions that were originally given to us was that they wanted to widen the sidewalk. They wanted to adhere to a national 16-foot wide carriageway. We had given them photographic evidence of tractor trailers coming up Court Street, illegally going down towards TCD. There's a sign at the top of the hill. And surely once these trees are removed, this is one reason why it would be not advantageous to do it, would be that the tractor trailers will now make this turn and come down along here, one of the last residential / mixed residential and commercial areas.
A 51-year-old man appeared in magistrate's court this morning on charges of attempting to kill his stepson. Raphael Douglas of Warwick Parish was further charged with unlawfully wounding his stepson, Jerome Thomas. Douglas was not required to enter a plea, as the charges are indictable and must be heard in the Supreme Court. The incident is said to have taken place during an altercation between the two men on July the 22nd. Prosecutor Garrett Byrne told the court that Douglas allegedly stabbed his stepson numerous times with a knife. Senior Magistrate Archibald Warner granted the defendant bail in the amount of $5,000 and ordered him to return to court on August the 7th. Still ahead on the TV 11 News is Rachel with the weather preview.
Thanks, Peter. Continuing fair with moderate to high humidity levels. On the radar, not a great deal of activity. A lot of stuff seems to be missing us, but please stay tuned for the full weather report later.
The weather radar picture provided courtesy of the Ministry of Transport on Vsb Tv 11.
You can count on us. Start grilling this cup match with Purdue fresh chicken thighs or drumsticks. $1.99 per pound. Juicy whole seedless watermelons, $12.99 each. For your mac and cheese dish, Catelli macaroni, $1.89 for a 500-gram box. Save $1.71 on Libby's mayonnaise, $4.09 for a 32-ounce jar. For the holiday, 6-packs, regular or Diet Coke, $4.99. Have a safe and enjoyable Cup Match holiday from the marketplace.
You can count on us. Copyfax is Samsung's authorized dealer service center in Bermuda. If you're looking for a tablet, Copyfax have a range of Samsung's Tab 3, 5 and 7. They have Samsung's ATIV Book, which has a 15.6-inch screen. And the ATIV One computer has a 24-inch touch screen. Be sure you're buying from an authorized Samsung dealer. In Bermuda, it's Copyfax Limited, 96 North Shore Road. They service what they sell.
The celebration of a Bermuda cricket legend is brought to you by Belco, Lindo's, Bex, Butterfield & Vallis, BAC, Colonial Insurance, Corona, Bermuda Bistro, and BF&M. Lee Rayner played his very first cup match for St. George's Cricket Club in 1962 and did so for a further 15 years, never losing a match. Lee was a pace bowler, usually opening the attack, but was also handy with the bat and once opened the innings for St. George's with Neville Darrell. Lee claimed a total of 35 wickets and scored over 500 runs during his years of playing in the Classic. He represented Bermuda many times throughout his career and claimed dozens of wickets against some of the world's finest players, and is still considered by most cricket enthusiasts as one of the finest pace bowlers the country has ever produced. Lee Rayner, celebrating a Bermuda cricket legend.
TNT Video Productions this year are proud to partner with the Fonts Broadcasting Company Limited to bring you live coverage of Cup Match 2014 at 9 a.m. on July 31st and August 1st from Somerset Cricket Club on Vsb Tv 11. Brought to you by lead sponsor HSBC and major sponsor Department of Youth, Sport and Recreation. Participating sponsors Lindo's Group of Companies, Cablevision and BTC via the BTC Broadband Network.
Bermuda is an easy way to find great discounts while discovering fun activities to do in Bermuda.
Discover the best spas, restaurants, activities, services, and shops at 50% off.
Sign up to Bermuda and start saving today.
Senate Leader Michael Fay could not let the current term of business of the Senate end without giving his views on the boycott of Parliament by the opposition PLP, in particular with regard to the upper house that contains 3 opposition senators, 3 independents, and 5 government figures.
Whilst the members of the opposition are not here today, I still think it would be remiss of me to not comment on their absence. In my view, no matter what, as an opposition, you may think of a government, or whether you oppose the government's policies, or you oppose a governor's decision, or whatever other reason is that you feel like it's not appropriate to come to the Senate, I think that is a failing in our democracy. And I find it ironic that comments can be made to the government about their views from the opposition to the government on the views they have of the government and how we conduct business, but then not find it fit to come to the Senate and express the views for those persons that they represent. Whether you're appointed or whether you're elected in another place, you have a duty to be in the chamber, at least have one representative in the chamber to have the opposition's views heard. It certainly made it a much easier day, but that's not what this is about. This is about democracy, and it's about having people's views heard. This is the forum where the people's voices are represented, whether we like it or not. And I hope that the opposition sees fit, even if the governor does not capitulate to the demands of the opposition, that they feel fit to come back to the House and back to the Senate in November. I'm grateful for the input from the independent senators. I think we've had a very good session. Given some of the legislation that did not come forward, I can tell you it'll be a very busy November. I'd have liked to see us bring a little bit more myself, but we haven't been able to quite get there. And to the people of Bermuda, I urge people to stay calm, even though people may not like decisions that have been made. And I think that's a very important message as well.
Over the past 4 years, the Department of Workforce Development has placed some 500 students in the summer employment program. This from Career Development Officer Judy Lowe Tiart during a recognition reception at ACE, Bermuda.
We do have a tendency to see some repeat students, but because of their experiences in the program, some of them actually move on to greater opportunities, so it does make room for some new entrants in the program.
But what skills should they bring to the program?
Well, there's actually criteria for the program. So students will register, and then after they register, they have to submit documentation that demonstrates that they meet the criteria. And so the criteria is based on, first and foremost, they have to be enrolled full-time in college or university. They have to demonstrate that they've maintained a 2.5 cumulative GPA. In addition to that, they provide references, their resume, an essay identifying what their career goals are. so that I use that to help me to make the most appropriate placement for them and any additional information they want to provide.
So they're not necessarily doing mundane jobs, are they?
Not necessarily, no. I do, when I meet with students, there may be some grunt work, and I explain that to them. But the program has really developed and evolved, and I stress that when I have that conversation with supervisors, I want them to gain a meaningful experience that is really related to what they're studying. And that's the whole intent of, interviewing the students and finding out what the long-term goals are and making that perfect match.
But does the potential employer have a place, or do they create a place?
Well, it works both ways, and I try to strike a balance, because we do have employers that make requests to us, particularly in government departments, but I also strike a balance based on what the student is studying, and to be quite honest, reach out within the community, private sector, non-profit sector, within government, and create the opportunities for them. And luckily, most employers are receptive and willing to provide to students the opportunity.
47 people were the proud recipients of scholarships awarded by the National Training Board. There were two types of scholarships awarded: the National Technical Vocational Training Award and the Sponsorship Trainee Award. The National Vocational Award is a merit award that is valued at $5,000 per year based on the attainment of a minimum 2.7 grade point average. Programs of study must not exceed 4 years. In regards to the Sponsorship Trainee Award industry, partners submit an application on behalf of an employee to participate in a specific one-time course and is worth $18,000. A 46-year-old man will be spending the next 3 months in prison after pleading guilty to stalking his ex-girlfriend for a week. Toronto Darrell admitted that he had called his ex-girlfriend, Diana Smith, almost 24 times within a week. He also admitted that he would wait for her outside her workplace and would show up at her home and bang on her front door. Ms. Smith became so fearful for her and her child's safety that she sought help from the Center for Abuse. Defense lawyer Mark Daniels argued that his client should receive a non-custodial sentence. However, Senior Magistrate Archibald Warner said this type of behavior is unacceptable, and with that meted out a 3-month prison sentence. Now, here's a look at the daily markets, presented by Bias.
Here are the daily markets presented by Bias. Equity markets continued weakness on concerns over growing geopolitical risks. Treasury prices were slightly higher on rising global uncertainty. Stocks in North America fell across the board on concerns that tensions in Ukraine will lead to deeper sanctions against Russia. The S&P 500 closed at 1,974, down 0.23%. Today on the Bermuda Stock Exchange, Bank of Butterfield's share price increased 0.5% to close at $2 a share. Other Bermuda-related stocks listed in the U.S. were mixed. Indices in Europe fell as investors focused on the growing international tensions over Russia's involvement in the downing of the Malaysian passenger jet in Ukraine. The FTSE 100 fell 0.31% to close at 6,728, while the DAX in Germany was down 1.11% on the day. China's stocks fell on concerns that corporate earnings will disappoint and that the upcoming IPOs may divert funds from existing equities. The Shanghai Index lost 0.22% at the close, while the Nikkei fell 1.1% on the day. Latin American stocks were mostly lower on the day, with the exception of Brazil, where the index was up 1.09% amid voter poll results that buoyed the Banco de Brazil. U.S. Treasury prices rose today amid market uncertainty over the international response to the Malaysian airline incident. The 10-year yield closed at 2.47% at the end of the day, with other global yields largely unchanged. The Australian dollar declined amid concerns of weakness in China. The Canadian dollar gained on better earnings from grain shippers, ending 0.1% higher. That was a look at the daily markets presented by Bias. There's more news after the break.
Hey, Donja, St. George's fan, 12 o'clock.
I see you got the colors on. Yes, by go Somerset. What? I mean St. George's. St. George's, all day.
Hey, quick, Somerset fan.
You guys going to the game?
Nah, we guys are just going to stay home, have a barbecue. We know Somerset's going to win anyway. We're going to listen to the radio.
Somerset! St. George's!
Are you serious?
What is going on?
Hey, Bermuda. It doesn't matter who you support. As long as you buy Family Center Cup Match ribbons, every Bermuda family is a winner.
Are you frustrated and confused by complex online banking systems? The quickest, easiest way to pay bills is with EasyPay.
Very simple to use.
Everything's all on one page. Like you don't have to click on this and go over there and then click on something else and go over there.
We use it for everything. We do our payroll, our local vendors.
I wouldn't change it in any way.
And the cost is minimal.
And the fees are extremely reasonable.
I highly recommend EasyPay.
Bill payment doesn't get any easier than EasyPay. Email Dal at easypay.bm.
Buying a new bike? Go with the company that offers brand name quality and great after-sales service. Oleander Cycles. Whether you're a daily commuter looking for a reliable ride or business owner sourcing wheels for your delivery team, you'll find bikes to suit your needs at Oleander Cycles. Oleander carries quality bikes from respected manufacturers PGO and TGB, and a full line of accessories from helmets to top boxes and baby seats. Just as important as the bike is the service behind it. Oleander delivers with 7-day-a-week service in our 4 locations, same-day service with appointment, an extensive inventory of parts, and a 6-month warranty on new bikes. Visit our Hamilton or Paget showroom today. Best bikes, best service, Oleander Cycles.
Do you know your rights as a consumer? Visit the Consumer Affairs website to find out how to hire a contractor, how to buy and maintain your vehicle, information on buying secondhand goods, tips for seniors and teens, personal finance tips, product recall information, to file a complaint with Consumer Affairs. For the latest consumer news and much more, visit ca.gov.bm.
Now, here's Earl Baisden with the Sports Report.
The 2014 Commonwealth Games sports got underway with several of Bermuda's athletes taking part on day one. Flora Duffy finished 8th in the women's triathlon, clocking a time of 2:02:18. Duffy, following a strong swim, was able to get on the front of the pack cycling after the 3rd lap, but the strength of the field was able to run away from her in the end. Duffy was pleased with her performance.
And then, yeah, I just came off the bike and ran as best I could. I'm not a super fast runner. I'm a strong runner. But those girls are extremely good runners. And, I'm definitely, getting better. And some days have great runs, and some days it's just a consistent run. And I finished 8th. And, yeah, my parents and my brother were here. And that was cool because, they've come to all my races, and they've been through all my highs and lows. And, I finished 8th in 2006, which is a breakout race for me, and I finished 8th here. But, 8th here is definitely, there's so many more competitive girls now that 8th here is way better than 8th then, and I've been through so much in the last 8 years, or since 2006.
Meanwhile, Tyler Butterfield clocked a time of 1:55:31 on his way to finishing 19th. Butterfield also had a strong swim and then was made to work hard on the bike as the 2 riders he was with refused to take a pull, thus leaving him to chase the pack from the front. Unfortunately, Jonathan Herring and Tucker Murphy were pulled out of the race after being lapped by the leaders on the bike course. On the squash courts, Nick Kime went down 11-3, 11-4, 11-3 to second seed James Wilstrop on center court. While Robbie Maycock went down in straight sets 11-2, 11-5, 11-4 to Maud Zavwan. Micah Franklin won his first round match in 5 sets 11-4, 11-4, 9-11, 8-11, 11-4 against Michael Kua. Gemma Lightbourne at Newstime is set to compete in her 4th and final event in the rhythmic gymnastics. Bermuda faced a hostile crowd of 1,200 fans in their first match of the Caribbean Football Union's Under-17 World Cup qualifiers in the Bahamas. Taking on the hosts, Bermuda pulled off a 4-0 win. Jerome Bailey gave Bermuda a lead in the 42nd minute. He scored again in the 51st minute. Osaji Baskin scored from the penalty spot in the 76th minute, and Casey Butterfield closed out the scoring in injury time. Logic and Bermuda Cricket Board announced the Logic Premier Division Player of the Week is Gennaro Tucker from Southampton Rangers. Tucker scored 67 runs in his team's win over Bailey's Bay at Southampton Oval. This was after he had bowled 9 overs, took 1 for 24. The Logic First Division Player of the Week is Ezekiel Greenwood from Somerset Bridge. Greenwood scored 98 runs in his team's 1-1 victory over PHC. I'm Earl Basden reporting for VSB Sports.
People and Places with Charles Webb, Mondays in the VSB TV 11 Evening News at 7:30, 8:30 and midnight. Sponsored by Big Saving Zone at the end of Stocks Road, St. David's.
For your Cup Match picnic, save half price on Dole Coleslaw. $1.99 for a 14-ounce bag. Frozen baby back pork spare ribs, $2.99 per pound. Rush on your favorite ribs. Kraft barbecue sauce, $1.69 for an 18-ounce bottle. 3.75-ounce bag, all varieties, Wise potato chips, just $1.49. Breyer's ice cream, $6.29 for all varieties of 48-ounce tubs. Visit our website at www.marketplace.pm for more Super Cup Match specials.
Outlast any storm with the most advanced alkaline battery. This weather segment is brought to you by Duracell Quantum.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's VSB weather forecast. Highs and lows temperatures for today. We had a high of 85 at 2:30 in the afternoon and a low of 79 at 6 in the morning. Current conditions, 82 degrees, humidity 75%. Winds are blowing out of the southwest, 12 to 18 knots, and barometric pressure is falling slowly at 30.12 inches. Rainfall index for the month of July, 2.46 for a yearly total of 29.10. Yearly normal for this time is 30.40 inches. And taking a look at the satellite. Winds increase for a time starting late tonight and persisting through Friday evening as a cold front draws near. The front stalls to the near north later Friday, bringing a few showers and a chance of thunder through Saturday night. Conditions then become mainly fair on Sunday. And taking a look at the gateway cities, Atlanta partly cloudy, 87, Boston mostly sunny, 78, Charlotte partly cloudy and 86, London 79 and sunny, Miami 89, partly cloudy, New York mostly cloudy and 82, Orlando mostly cloudy and 93, Philadelphia mostly cloudy, 85, Toronto sunny and 77, and Washington partly cloudy and 86 degrees. Back at home tonight, partly cloudy with a low near 78, wind southwest 12 to 18 knots, then increasing to 18 to 22 knots late night. Tomorrow, sunny to partly cloudy with a high near 85, wind southwest 15 to 20 knots. Marine tonight, we have a small craft warning with seas inside the reef 0 to 1 foot, seas outside the reef 3 to 5 feet, and the sea surface temperature is 85 degrees. Marine tomorrow, small craft warning continues with seas inside the reef 1 to 2 feet, seas outside the reef 4 to 6 feet. Low tide will be at 8:15 in the morning and high tide will be at 2:10 in the afternoon. And taking a look at the 5-day forecast. Saturday, sunny breaks with a few showers and a chance of thunder, high near 84. Sunday, sunny periods with a few showers early and then 1 or 2 later, high near 85. Monday, mix of sun and cloud with 1 or 2 showers, high near 85. And Tuesday, mix of sun and cloud with a high near 85. Thank you to Michelle Pitcher, our meteorologist for tonight, and everyone at the Bermuda Weather Service. I'm Rachel Sodden. Have a great evening.
Outlast any storm with the most advanced alkaline battery. Today's weather forecast was brought to you by Duracell Quantum.
Thanks for tuning in to the TV11 News. Good night.
Peter Cattell's attire courtesy of A.S. Cooper & Sons Limited. Wardrobe and makeup for Rachel Sorden, provided by Gibbons Company.
Vsb Tv 11, Bermuda.